Great to have you with us for breakfast this Thursday morning. Small business insolvencies in Australia have hit record levels. Now, given the state of the global economy, you might not be surprised to hear that, but you may well be surprised when you realise just how many small businesses are going out of business. Have a look at this. In the year 2011 to 2012, there have been 9,074 insolvencies. Now, that is so far. So we are heading for a record year of insolvencies. In February this year alone, 1,123 businesses became officially insolvent. Steve Kugel is a partner with the insolvency experts and joins me now. Steve, should we be surprised at these figures given the global economy?
I don't think you should be surprised given the global economy, but, you know, it's a bit surprising when you hear the government talking about the economy doing very well. And I think what you see is that it's really contained to the mining areas. But what you find is construction, retail are doing particularly badly, and people are really feeling the effects of that.
Although, interestingly, among these insolvencies, and again, people won't be too surprised when they hear the word retail, retail businesses are overrepresented in these figures, as indeed are property businesses.
Yes, that's true. And, you know, it can be just the environment. Imagine being a small retailer versus the world. People are shopping in a completely different way now. They're doing it on the internet. So owning a shop and trying to compete is very difficult. Imagine being a hardware store and trying to compete with the likes of, you know, the big hardware retailers. It's very hard to compete.
Is one of the issues that it is very easy to start a business up, so it is very easy to fail?
Well, that's for sure. And also, you know, you need some knowledge of how to run a business. You need to look at the finances. You need to understand the figures. And a lot of people don't actually produce records. And it's almost like driving a vehicle when you're blind. You're not looking where you're going if you don't understand what the figures are.
These numbers are truly alarming. I mean, over 1,100 in February alone. Are a majority of these comparatively new businesses, or are you seeing businesses that at one time were very profitable also falling in large numbers?
All sorts of businesses. New businesses certainly go down at a great rate. Older businesses that aren't changing, aren't adapting to the environment are also finding it very difficult. And, you know, people find it very difficult to deal with these sort of situations. You know, we get people that are just so stressed by it all. They've faced an environment of being hounded and harassed by their creditors for years. And
Let's talk about the impact that it has on people, because without doubt, with figures like that, there will be people watching now who are about to head off to their own small business knowing that they're in crisis.
Terrified.
So we'll give them some tips. First of all, though, there are three key areas that have been identified as problem areas for businesses that end up going under. The poor economy, very hard really to do anything about that because that is out of your control. Poor strategic management. So these are people who they might be experts in an aspect of their business, but are probably not experts in running a business.
Yes, that can actually happen. And one thing that I always say is that these people should be close to their accountants and advisors and really understand the figures. You know, if you don't understand the figures, you don't know where the money's being spent, and you don't know how you can cut the expenses. You don't know the level of sales you need to achieve. You don't know whether you've got a viable business.
In some cases, you don't even know the sales you are achieving or how to set a proper profit margin on the cost of the goods you're buying in.
Indeed.
And the third one, which I know you believe is perhaps the most important, poor cash flow catches people out.
Yes, absolutely. And what you find is people aren't on top of cash flow. People are very scared to recover their debtors, to chase the money that's owed to them. And of course, if you don't do that, you don't have money to pay your staff.
Because you don't want to frighten customers off, but if the customers aren't paying, there's no point having them anyway.
Absolutely. And you speak to any builder and you ask them and they say how difficult it is to get the progress payments, and particularly the last payments on any contracts. And consequently, you do find a lot of businesses going out backwards because they can't recover their money.
Steve, right at the moment, you're taking calls literally 24 hours a day from people who know they're in real trouble. You had one person phone you who said, I need you to act for me, I'm about to kill myself.
Yes. Look, the Insolvency Experts, we run a 24-hour insolvency hotline. It's free. It can be anonymous. We take calls from Lifeline and Salvos and all the major charities because people at night, you know, stare at the ceilings and they just don't know what's going to happen.
How can I get out of this nightmare?
Well, they imagine they're going off to jail, and that's not the case. This person did send me an email. I never met him. I never got to speak to him. And unfortunately, the next day I was told by his son that he did actually commit suicide. That's how seriously people take this.
All right, so just finally, for people, Steve, who've had a sleepless night because they know they are going in again to hit the grind on a business that they just know they've lost control of, they're dying in the business, what is your recommendation?
Look, I think they need to get advice early. The earlier that we can get to them, the earlier and more options that they have to save their business. Stay close to their professional advisor. I keep saying it, prepare records, understand where you are at any point in time so you can react. Don't just wake up one morning
Make the phone call first thing this morning.
Make the call.
Steve Kugel, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.